Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Classroom to Corner Office Career Talks with Chris. Today, I am joined by Adwit Lamichhane, who serves as a assets-based lending consultant for Sisterson, a regional accounting firm out of Pittsburgh. So Adwit's here to talk about his career journey, how he got to where he is now, and some of those learning lessons along the way. So Adwit, thank you for joining us today and to provide some insight on your career journey and how you got to where you are now.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Chris. Thank you for having me here.
Yeah, definitely. We haven't talked in a while. We've conversed through some email here and there. So I'm glad to get to see you right on the screen. Anybody that's watching this on YouTube or anybody that's listening, Adwood is somebody that I connected with was about 6, 7, 8 years
Almost 7
ago.
years ago, yeah.
Yeah, during your time at West Liberty. So, and this is the power, right? For anybody listening right now, this is the power of your network and keeping in touch with people, providing opportunities, even just have a beneficial conversation for the masses. So, it definitely speaks directly to that.
Before we even begin, just because you talked about just the power of networking, I guess, I still remember when I was graduating from West Liberty, I was applying to a few colleges, and then, you were helping me and some of my friends with the graduate applications as well. Of course, I did not take that route, but, just, I guess, your help from back then and then still now. So I really appreciate all you've done, I guess, for me and then West Liberty students, of course. But yeah,
Awesome. No, it's always good to get that feedback, right? Even though that wasn't the route you went, right? That's still, is a relationship building time and discussion. So
great.
great. So Adwood, just take us through, right? Right now we're serving as an asset-based lending consultant in an accounting firm, but that's not where you started.
Great.
So why don't you just walk us through this career journey and how you got to where you are now?
Yeah, I wish I could say that that's all I wanted to be. This was my dream job, and then I got it, but it didn't. It was not how it worked out. Like, first, when I joined West Liberty, I joined as a computer information systems major. So it was a completely different path. And then, when I was on it, I took a few courses in management, marketing with, some of the professors. And it was like, I guess I wanted something different after that. I knew that computers, IT, data still like it, but then at the same time, I liked the management, marketing side of business management, I guess. So that's when I switched. I was like, I wanted to get into marketing after that. So when I graduated West Liberty, I actually graduated with a major in entrepreneurship. Got a lot of all those management, marketing skills. And I worked for ADP for some time, in their sales department. It's basically selling insurances. And at that time, I knew that, okay, I like talking to people part of the job, but then I can't do this for like 40 hours per week. I can't cold call people and that's all I do for all 40 hours. I need some of mix. So then after that, I went to Wheeling to actually get my master's in accounting degree. Why accounting? Don't ask me. It was a complete change for me as well. But good thing about being in Wheeling was that it's such a small university that you can tell your advisors that, okay, I'm in accounting, but I want to take a lot of finance courses, take a few management courses and all that. So then I did that, even if the degree does read MS in accountancy. If you look at my transcripts, it's all finance courses and all that. But when I was in Wheeling, I got to work with, the advancement office. So I was a graduate assistant for them. Did a lot of donor relations, just back end work as well. But I guess I like back end work, and then I had to work a lot with the accounting department, and I was like, okay, this is actually pretty cool. So I used some of my finance courses, and then through like some networking at West Liberty, I got like an internship at Main Street Bank. So then when I started that, it was like, every 6 months I was having a new realization that someday I want to be a marketer, someday I want to be like an accountant, advancement, and then now like in banking. So that's the first time when I got introduced to banking and, work with some great people in Main Street. And that was like, this is perfect because I have that client facing role where I'm talking to clients, but at the same time, I'm doing like a finance back end work where I'm helping people to get like loans because I was working on the credit analysis team. So my internship was like, a lot of reviewing credit documents and then just talking to clients about that. So that helped a lot. And I was like, okay, this might be something that, I see myself in because, I'm talking to people, but at the same time, doing a lot of back end work. And that's what I always wanted. So then, I started looking for careers in banking. But then since my degree was accounting, I also applied to accounting firms, just like, maybe get a year of accounting experience and then jump into banking. That was my whole mindset at that time. But I came across Sisterson through, like, when I was applying to jobs, I think I was sending out a bunch of emails, but at the same time, applications, but at the same time, sending out emails to like hiring managers and stuff like that. So then this hiring manager caught my application and then she said, okay, I think not accounting, but then I think you'll be a good fit for the consulting team given your experience in credit. I did not know this was a thing. So when I talked to the team, they said that they do ABL work for the bank, and I was like, wow, that's something that I never thought about because I was thinking into personal credit analysis when people apply for loans and then you give them loans and stuff like that. But now we're talking about business, which is like, of course, a bigger impact, but also like you're going to be working with, I guess, bigger amount of money as well, bigger clients and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, I'll I'll obviously think about that. And when I talked to the team, it was a great team. It looked like, a tight knit, respective team of people that worked with different large clients, large banks all across the United States. And I was like, let's give it a try. And now I've been here close to 3 years now and I love, every single part of it. But yeah, that's my, I guess, a little journey in a summary.
Yeah, and a journey it was, right? That's definitely not where you expected to be, right?
Right.
Where you started off having an entrepreneurship, major out of college, which I think is interesting to consider because through that major, you had exposure to a lot of different types of courses, right? If you're a budding entrepreneur and you want to explore the business space and open your own businesses, it does require at least a fundamental and base knowledge across those functional areas of a business. So,
Right.
for you, you said you initially gravitated more towards like the marketing end, some of those areas. So, what do you think through your collegiate education best prepared you, right, to really just at that point take a jump, right? You had to find a spot in a location. So, what helped you most? Were there any experiences, any faculty members, or any courses that you think helped prepare you for kind of that evolution of your career?
So, like you said, the best thing about taking like, a general entrepreneurship degree is that you're doing anything and everything from basic accounting to venture finance to like, different levels of marketing to small business management. And maybe, I don't know if that got me even more confused because I was like, okay, small business management sounds real fun. At the same time, some parts of accounting are great. Like I knew for a fact that I did not like taxes, for example. And I had an internship in audit and I was not like the biggest fan of, audit accounting as well. But it was more like, just I guess the ability to take risks and then saying that, okay, this is still my 20s. I still can try a lot of new things. And if I don't end up liking what I do, I'll still have a lot of time to get the career change. So I think Gary Vee played a biggest part of the role because after graduation, maybe after the Wheeling graduation, I was looking at his videos and then, he was talking about if you're just 23, don't worry about life at all. He was, I think, 33 when he finally started where he wanted to be. And before that, he was selling wines. So I was like, okay, I'm going to try a lot of different things and then see where I, end up. And that is the reason why whenever I was in West Liberty, I was not just classes, not just like majors and professors, but at the same time, I was involved in like a dozen different organizations, just trying to do like, investment club, marketing club, net impact, things like that. Part of net impact has played a very important part in my role because the networking has, I guess, given me a lot of friends and mentors as well. So at some point I was like, I want to be in like, policy making, US policy making and stuff like that. So I guess I tried a lot of different things and then finally landed. So if you are doing something and you don't feel like this is it, then that might not be it. And if that is it, then, maybe later you can figure it out again. So it's never too late. I think that's the mindset I went with and did a lot of stuff. But of course, along the way, there were a lot of people who helped me. Like I said, when I was applying to graduate schools, William and Mary, you helped me. I was talking to my professors, talking to my friends about, where I should be at and what I should be doing and all this kind of stuff. But um, yeah, I think every person you talk to, everything you do is just like a learning point in your journey. So
Yeah, and a learning point that you may have had later than maybe you expected was,
right.
after earning that MSA, you had an internship. Right. And usually when we think of internships, we think that more of within your undergraduate career or maybe in that transition phase after you complete that. So you had that a little bit later than maybe you would have planned for or expected. But what about having that experience after having earned an undergraduate and a graduate degree served you well? And maybe you were a little bit more mature, right, and knowledgeable in those situations. So how was that internship for you at Main Street Bank? And how did that for you solidify and secure, like, okay, I think I'm in the right industry area and this is where I want to move forward in my career?
Yeah, I think it play a very big role because that time, like I said, doing accounting at the same time, being a graduate assistant in advancement field. So still like kind of in between deciding if, even if advancement is like a path or a journey that I would like to take. So joining Main Street Bank was, came out of nowhere actually. I don't really remember how I got the interview, but I know it was like someone from West Liberty had recommended that internship, and that's how I interviewed for them. So I took it as a summer internship just because one of my courses did need an internship as well. So that's how I landed at Main Street Bank. I had no intention of getting into banking. But once I got there and then I saw how I guess the whole industry worked and how there's more to banking than just like, being a teller or like, or being a CFO or, a president of bank. There's just so much more to it. And the credit field I'd never thought was so big. I thought people apply for loans, people get loans. I didn't really think about the back end work where you look at their tax returns or, look at their history of, paying credits back or even where they work at, how long they've been working at a certain place or how much rent they pay. I think you build a better credit score, you get a loan. That's what I thought it was, but then it's not that. There's a lot of work that goes in there. So uh, I think the whole thing, and also like Nick Sparshan was my mentor when I was there, and he helped me a lot to learn about whatever goes into credit as well. So all that played a huge role, and for sure you learn a lot outside of class as well because you've learned about I don't know, the 5 C's of credit, for example. But then your internship, no one, a customer is not going to come to you and say, okay, give me the 5 C's of credit. Like there's a lot of practical, I guess, hands-on work that all goes in there, and then that obviously, I guess, makes you more mature. To your point, because now you've seen how it works. You're learning how it works. Of course, there's a lot to learn, but at the same time, I guess you've gotten an idea. So that helped me a lot. And of course, the main goal for me was to like help people, which later changed to help businesses. But I guess yeah, that did play a big role.
Yeah, good. And right, Jude, that's where you got the theoretical and put it into the practical, right? The
Right.
application of this is what it really takes to have these conversations, and people aren't coming in and quizzing you, right? This isn't the classroom. So they're coming in looking for real help and being able to translate the information that you've learned in the classroom to what the knowledge you gain about, right, a company, about a branch, whatever that may be, helps
Right.
to really provide a valuable service and help people guide them in the direction they should be going, or at least that you would recommend. Definitely. And you talked about as you were going through this application process with Sisterson, right? It went in a direction that you did not expect, right? They offered you to explore a role that you did not even realize really was part of what they did, or maybe even part of that industry itself. And you mentioned that an unexpected offer, and it was about hearing what the position was and then also having a conversation, understanding the team itself. So, can you take me a little bit about what you did to research or prepare yourself in that consideration process for a role that you didn't expect to have an opportunity to explore, and what led you to that decision to accept that once you understood what it would entail?
Yeah. So whenever that offer came in, I think most of the companies that I applied to were accounting firms, just because I had that degree. And then, I knew that from different events that I went to that I could start as a general associate and then, take my, I guess, expertise into consulting. But I didn't really know what consulting really is because, it's still like really vast. If you ask anyone, any non consultant, what do you think a consultant does? They probably don't know a lot about consultants. So there's obviously a lot more to that. But yeah, when I got that offer, obviously they did say that it was asset based lending, field examinations, and all that. And I had no clue about what that is. At that time, the biggest help was Google, but also ChatGPT. You need to give AI every gratitude that you can because it's the new Google. You can basically, um, rely your life on AI right now. So I researched about ABL, kind of like tried to relate what ABL really is to credit analysis or basic finance analytics as well, risk management and all that. And it was towards the directions that I was looking to because, when I came out of Main Street Bank, I was looking to help people get loans. So, they can either start their business, do something like, build a house, whatever. And then now I was going to be looking at businesses applying for loans and helping them buy inventory or, um, help with the merger and acquisition or like, something else that the business wants to do. So it was the same thing, but at a bigger scale. And then I think that's where I made my decision, of course. But meeting the team was obviously a very big factor as well. I had to research about the company itself. And at that time, I think they were into their 95th or the 96th year. So I knew that they've been there for a long time. The other thing I did was went into I think it's called Best Accounting Firms. That's the website. So I was looking at there and then, they were ranked very high. So even outside of the big four or big five accounting firms, regionally, Sisterson had a very big name in the market. So I knew that I was working for a good company and I knew that this is the department that I want to be in because I think this is something that I want to try with credit analysis. And meeting with the team, they were not the biggest team, of course, but then you small team that they take care of you and you'd not just be a number, you'd be someone present and just in the team and in the firm as well. So I think all those really helped me make my decision.
Yeah, and like I said, the fact that you even were offered to explore this opportunity, I think speaks to how you probably handled yourself and prepared for the interview and maybe, how you even got to the interview through your application materials. So, what are some suggestions or some strategies that you've found that have brought you success, whether that's in how you're explaining your experiences within a resume, within a cover letter, or what you've done to prepare for interviews that you think have helped set you apart and find success, right, in an area. In
Yeah.
this particular case, they were and ultimately offered an opportunity that you didn't even go in to have a discussion about initially.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's obviously some kind of, I guess, luck as well, right? The universe works in your favor and then you get these opportunities. But then, like you said, it's like a multiple step process, right? The resume is like you're going to be sending it everywhere. So, and that is supposed to show the best version of yourself. So, your education, your experience. And there are like thousands of courses online where you can go and see and how to build your resume and stuff. But the main things would be to highlight what you've learned in your education, for example. Don't just put master's in accountancy, like, put what you've actually gathered from your master's. I mean, GPAs might be important. I'm not sure, but then I think what employers are really looking for is like what you've really learned from that degree. So do that. Of course, when it comes to experience, anything can be an experience. Like, the jobs you do in college, or, if you had a job at cafeteria, you learned something from it. So you can put those. The main thing about putting experiences in your resume is don't just, say that I did so and so. Like the main thing is going to be saying that you took certain actions and then showing some numbers, like, like helped 15 people during like a lunch outing at the cafeteria, for example, and things like that. So all those it's just that it's the showing up your best version of yourself to the world. And at the same time, don't, I guess, hesitate to exaggerate. I used to like, keep it really low, but at the same time, if you've done something, if you've helped a team, then show that you've helped the team because that's what, companies are really looking for. But once you send out your resume, don't just send out your resume. There are like, companies getting hundreds, maybe 200s of resumes for the same job on a daily basis. So I think the main thing would be to reaching out to the hiring manager or, even reaching out to someone at the company because people at companies might be getting some kind of referral bonuses for just like, referring you to the job. My company has a really big bonus. So I would actually love for people to reach out to me, and then me help them get a job right now. So, do
Everybody
that. Yeah.
listening, if you
Because you
heard
never,
that, you're listening, reach out, reach out.
yes, to everyone, literally to everyone. Like when I was applying to job, I was not just applying on LinkedIn. I was reaching out to like anyone that had a manager position. I just messaged them, "Hey, I saw that you've been in this industry for so and so years. I'd love to get into this industry. I'm just starting out. Do you think you have 5 minutes to take my call?" And just talking to them, it gives you a lot of exposure as well. They might be sending out your resume to the hiring manager, but at the same time, you'll learn from their experience. So it's like a win-win situation for both, and I think that's really important. The third stage after that is obviously going to be interview. Again, the main thing is don't be late to the interview. Don't go in thinking of answers that you're going to say pointers and don't sound like a robot or a machine. Like they're there to have conversation, just, have conversation. And usually people, I've seen this like, with different stories online as well. People don't really hire you because you're skillful. People hire you because you want to learn and then they think that you're a good fit for the team. So I think for me, rather than skill, because I had no ABL experience, I think I was able to connect to everyone in the team, which is why they probably chose me. So yeah. And then after your interviews, always follow up. Like, cause they're gonna have tens and 15s of interviews per day. They might not even remember you the next day. At least an email is going to help them remember you. So I think all those things help me. Maybe there are a few more things, but these are the main pointers that really help me, I guess, to get to where I am. But at the same time, also get success with getting interviews, getting job offers when I was applying.
Yeah, and one of the things that I in the classroom, right, especially as the students are preparing for whatever that next step is, the workforce, graduate school, trying to do something else with their lives, at least initially, is I do try to demonstrate the ways that you can use AI tools. So I would say a common thing that comes up with students that I'm working with that I use within a resume building process is, hey, I worked at a restaurant and I was on the back end. I was a dishwasher. I was a cook. I was, a host, a host or a hostess. And, I never got a formal job description. So how do I actually share that? So
Right.
I will show them, I'll bring it up and be like, okay, let's just go into ChatGPT, Copilot, whatever that may be, and say, provide a job description for a dishwasher that, highlights skills that would be relevant to an entry level role in X industry and, pull 2 or 3, 4 bullet points from that and say, "Okay, here's your inspiration. Did this really encapsulate what you did, and is this realistic?" And then to your point as well, quantifying, right? If you can quantify it, it demonstrates the impact, right? Not just a title and a job description or task line. It actually shows the impact that you had, serving 200 people in a shift. Creating social media that had this type of reach, this type of audience was connecting with it, this many views, right? This viral TikTok, right? Whatever that may be, it definitely helps to separate you out. So on the AI, right, and saying to leverage it to the best of your ability, what are some ways that you may be using it, whether it's in your role or finding other ways to leverage the strength of artificial intelligence tools, like I said, either in your daily work or in your personal life?
Yeah, if I could share my screen, I would show it to you. I have Copilot and ChatGPT open, split screen all the time. Like any question I have, these are like, my best friends at this moment. But like you said, like, when applying or when building up your resume, of course, then based on your resume, you can ask, any AI tool to build your cover letter, for example. And then just based on that as well, you can put the job description of the company that you're applying to and then say that, okay, mock interview me, for example, right? Can do all those kind of things because now there's like the voice versions of Copilot or ChatGPT. But yeah, and I mean, anything and everything, because just interviews for sure. But then for me, any concept that I don't understand at my work, I'll look up for it. Any industry, if I'm like, if I'm doing a lot of manufacturing work and then I get into like automotive, industry to do one of those businesses, I'll look it up on ChatGPT because it can tell me more about the company than any other, and the company itself would, honestly. All the history to what they've been doing, to what they're planning on doing, to everything. So I'd say use it as a tool. Of course, don't use it to plagiarize, don't use it to do your assignments. Maybe there's a way to do it as well, but then any help you need, I feel like these AI tools are there. And as AI is growing, I feel like, of course, we need to be dependent on it, but at the same time, learn how to manipulate with, work with it as well. Um, I was listening to this podcast from Harvard Business School a couple weeks ago, and then they were talking about like, is AI really going to take on jobs on of different people, like especially in the finance and accounting world? The answer to that is like, no, it's not, but then it's going to be helping a lot of what we do. So in 5 years from now, you shouldn't be scared of like, oh, AI is going to come take my job, but then you should be learning and honing your skills on how to manage AI, because you're not going to be doing a lot of data entry kind of work. You're going to be managing AI to review their work as they do data entry rules, for example. So yeah, use AI for your benefit. Like, can literally answer every question. Of course, like don't 100% rely on it because it gives a lot of wrong answers, but there are ways to manipulate it where you can say like, don't hallucinate, don't give me random answers, just give me actual facts, stuff like that. But, yeah, definitely confidently use AI to do everything in your job application, and it'll be your best friend and help you a lot throughout the process.
Yeah, the way I like to consider it and talk about it is use it as a brainstorming buddy, right? It can provide you a framework for research, but in the end, you have to find those firsthand accounts, those primary sources, and vet those because that's really where you get the meat of what you're looking for. And as a brainstorming buddy, especially in an application process, it provides you the context to reconsider. And I haven't myself ventured into using any of these voice options, but do use it in the similar way that you're talking about to help students prepare for interviews, right? That's
Right.
that's a that's a big
Yep.
piece. And okay, let's just pop out 15 questions and go back, record yourself answering them, watch yourself back and figure out where maybe you have a nervous tick, whether it's the way that you respond, and even picking out how much you say filler words,
Right.
like that type of stuff is
Yeah.
beneficial, right? And those types of
Yeah.
tools can be more than helpful in those processes. So great. So as we're kind of wrapping up towards the end of this here, you give you an opportunity to, impart some wisdom, right? Some final words that you wish that undergraduate Adwit had that would have helped maybe not propel your career differently, but put you in a better spot in that way. And I'll ask you to do this in the spirit of Gary V, but maybe not with the vulgarity.
Okay. Not the same words, but yes. Well, the main thing would be, talk to people. I feel like that's what has helped me a lot. Don't be afraid of going into any room and introducing yourself, because the first time, you might like go to an event, introduce yourself like to 7 people. Those are going to be your best contacts whenever you're applying for jobs later. And you go to 7 different events, you start introducing yourself. The eighth event, people are going to start noticing you. They'll know you by your name, and you don't have to go and introduce yourself any further, right? So I would say like don't be afraid to do that. I feel like I've been to events, introduced myself to people, and got like a lot of good contacts just doing that. And people don't really care. There are going to be like a lot of people coming to them. A lot of people sending messages and LinkedIn requests, but then face to face is, of course, like the best way you can, meet people. But at the same time, you're just building your network, and that's a really big thing. So even if you don't end up working for their company or working with them, sometime at some point in life you'll meet with them, and then there are a lot of things that you can share with each other when you guys meet. So that's for sure. The second thing is that don't be afraid of taking chances, taking risks career wise as well. Some people find their dream job when they're 21, and then the others, like Gary Vee, don't find it until they're 33. So I was at a sweet spot to not be 21 or 33, but don't be afraid of switching careers if you really have to. Absolutely do it, because at the end of the day, like, yes, getting a job, making money is obviously a very big thing. But if you can really find a way to get what you really want to do and figure out a way to make money out of it, then that's going to be the best life you can live, right? I'm not going to say that, oh, just follow your dreams and then get into a career path where you're going to make no money. But then every career path has some way that you can make money. So if you can really blend those together, I think, you're going to be on the right path. Yeah, I think that's it.
All right, awesome. Definitely some Gary Vee tidbits in there. I think it'll be good to know that he was referenced in this podcast. So Gary Vee, if you're listening, but let's find a way to team up and partner up with how we can help
Yes, please.
help the next generation. So awesome. And I know you mentioned some people along the way, and please do not mention me again in this situation because there's definitely more than just me that has helped you along the way. Are there any mentors or people that have been inspiration for you that you think have really impacted not just what you're doing now, but the way that you approach your career, that you would like to shout out?
I mean, a lot. I guess, I can probably thank each and every one that I met throughout, my career journey, of course. Of course, my parents, because they gave me the liberty. Being from a South Asian household, it's really hard to follow your dreams. Like, your parents either want you to be a doctor or a lawyer. And my parents never, pressured me into that. They said, do whatever you want to. So, of course, their support is real, and I'll always be thankful. But West Liberty, of course, there are a lot of professors, but the ones that I was very close to was Dr. Craig Crow, Dr. Vishaka Maskey. I still talk to her. And then during my internships, of course, Nick Sparshane played a big role, just introducing me to the world of credit analysis and what it can be. Then, during my time at Wheeling University, Kelly Klubert, who works in advancement, was like a big mentor to me, just introducing me to that field. I didn't end up getting into that field. That's a different story. But then, she gave me that option of, getting into that field. So that was great. And everyone I work with today, like, I feel like in some way they're shaping up who I am personally. I've seen the growth since my West Liberty days to now. And I feel like all these people, from professors, friends, mentors to my colleagues, they've all helped me to be what I'm today, and then just shaping me to who I want to be, I guess, on a bigger role, on a higher position later in life. So yeah. And of course, Chris.
Maybe not, of course, right? We may cut that one out in the final edit here. Now, no, Adwit, I appreciate you taking time to chat with me and to share some of your journey and where that journey is now, and who knows where it will be in the future, right? Being open like you are, right? The opportunities will probably abound and present themselves to you when you least expect it.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, I'm glad that we've been in touch, and, I feel like you've seen my growth kind of as well. And yeah, hopefully 20 years from now, we'll be here and, doing bigger and better things.
Yeah, 20 years from now, tune back in. We'll hear what Adwit's doing. He's running his own company. He's got people, and I'll still be recording podcasts here. So Adwit, again, appreciate it. Anybody out there listening, make sure that you follow us on all the platforms on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Classroom to Corner Office. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, right? Keep growing the presence, not just right for the glory of the podcast itself, but right to really share these messages. I think that's what's most important to me, is to hear everybody's career journeys, their thoughts, the wisdom that they share, because that's what's most important, is getting these messages out to the world. So Adwit, again, appreciate it. And everyone out there listening, make sure that you tune into the next episode of Classroom to Corner Office Career Talks with Chris.